revolution of our time. 光復香港。That I leave it to the secretary. It all came 1.5 years ago in Hong Kong. I wanted to visit my kids before I came to Washington, D.C. And by accident or what, I saw a YouTube by Secretary of State when he formed the Commission for Unalienated Rights. It was about about 2 years ago. And it sounds very strange, it sounds very strange. And so I was watching it. And also, after I came to Washington, I went to their first anniversary. Also by accident, totally by accident. I mean, we Chinese don't really understand rights. We always believe when you have money, you have rights. So, seriously, I mean, we can buy power, we can buy freedom, we can immigrate, we can do everything with money. So why do we need to have rights? This is common belief, very common. And most of the Chinese leaders, or even normal people, don't understand this universal value. I was in Beijing 72 years ago, and some official invited me to a barbecue in the suburb of Beijing. And this was the year when they had the riots in Hong Kong and the protests. And this official from the Reform and Development Commission is very powerful, the head of that. He asked me, what's happening in Hong Kong? What does the young people want? And I, of course, told him freedom, rule of law, and democracy. And he said, this is not real. That's what he told me, this is not real. And I suddenly woke up. None of these communist people understand what that is. Because in our family education, we don't talk about universal value. In our schools, we don't talk about it. In our legal system, and there's no church to teach you. This whole thing, the entire communist leadership and or normal people, because they brainwash everybody, these universal rights does not exist. And it's only about maybe like 20 years ago, by accident, I was taking some Texas oilmen to China to see some in Xinjiang, Turin Basin, very famous oil field. And they start asking me, what are you going to tell your children? What do you teach your children? I said, I let them do whatever they want. He said, what about the right? What about the value? What about value? And this is really the first time I hear about this value. Chinese, of course, we have our value from Confucius, thousands of years, but not the universal value. It's very, very different. So anyway, I was following Secretary Pompeo. I don't know him, nothing at all. So I said, very strange. I start understand the unalienated rights. I was learning, not too long ago, probably 2 years ago. And start to enlighten me. And I was educated in this country. I have been in this country for more than 20 years. And even if I don't understand, most of the Chinese don't understand. Right? Most, I'm not taking okay, most, seriously. It's a very serious issue because they don't understand. And they've never, all the communist people, or mainland China, they have never experienced the rights. They're happy, they work very, very hard, they make their money, they buy their apartment, and then, but they never have a chance. And in China, if you get arrested, you go back to take care of the policeman, this and that, and then you're off. If you can't take care of the policeman, you take care of the judge. That's how things work in China. You take care of the judge, and there are millions of ways, all right? So there's no law. There is no law. This whole thing about law is nonsense. There's no law. This whole thing is for show. I came to this country 1.5 years ago, and I understood them because I work with them. I make money with them. All right? I'm very, very close to their families. so-called the powerful family, all right? And we do business together all over the world, looking for minerals, natural resources, and then flipping them back to China. Lots I've done all before, so I know the system really well. So I know the system. So I came here a year and a half ago, and I proposed to the U.S. Congress, to several congressmen. I said, these guys are criminals. For the last 70-some years, they're criminals because they don't have to follow the law. They use influence, they use money, and they can overcome everything. These are criminals. So my lawyer looked up, there's a law called Transnational Criminal Organization, TCO. There is a law in the States called TCO. And fits perfectly with the Chinese Communist Party. Fits perfectly. Because every time they do something wrong, we start focus on that thing and forget about what they did in the past. This is very common, all right? Oh, now we blame them for pandemic, and suddenly the focus is on Afghanistan. It will forget about the pandemic, where the virus leaked from. It's been going on. We need a collective term over the last 72 years. It's not just one crime or one crime after another. It's a continuation of crimes. It's a transnational criminal organization. That's what it is. Taking Hong Kong. Everything signed. Before they sign it, all right, they think about how to get away with it, all right? When I remember when Zhu Yongji, I was representing the U.S. team when they negotiated with the WTO, all right? And Zhu Yongji, and they asked me, the CIA in Hong Kong asked me, what do you think? What do you think is going to happen? I said they'll agree to everything in the last minute, 11 hours, 59 minutes. And it turned out to be true. They thought I was a genius. But I know how the game they play. They're very, very good game player. Right? They paid last minute, and then Zhu Yongji walked into the hall, the negotiation hall. Most of the Americans are ready to leave. They're heading for the airport. All right? And then Zhu Yongji came in. Oh, what are your differences? Show me. So there are 5 differences. He took 2 of the most important differences in favor of China. And said, okay, I agree with this, and you must agree with the other 3. Of course. That's how you won the negotiation, in the last minute. So people said, wow, it's a relaxation. And after they signed the WTO agreement, nothing. They followed nothing. And after Zhu Yongji signed, ordered to sign, the Chinese became very miserable. How can we follow these terms? They are too harsh. Zhu Yongji said, agreement is a dead object. We are alive, meaning we can manipulate. That is their way. That is their way. Hong Kong, Sino-British Joint Declaration. First day, they all planned to take over Hong Kong, right? And everything they promised. Now, of course, now we know, means nothing. You cannot deal with such people. You have to decouple with them. There is no other way. I'm going to, since the Republicans are not in power, so I'm going to spend the next 2 or 3 years to travel to all the different parliaments of the world, such as UK, such as Lithuania, such as India, and Australia, Japan. I'm going to convince them that they have to discuss about the transnational criminal organization. And every Communist Party member is a criminal. Unless they resign right away and confess what they've done wrong and ask for forgiveness. Total criminals. We have quite a few of them in this country, especially California. They help operate the big tech, the H1Bs. Those are the people you must watch. They are actually operating those social medias, those big tech, the software company. They're operating them. Never mind what the boss says. They are doing operation, and they listen to order from Beijing. If Donald Trump had another term, and if the secretary is still in the Department of State, I think all this will change. You know, after Houston, after closing down their consulate in Houston, I hope the next one will be San Francisco. So anyway, we have to wait. We have to wait. And I hope I can help. This is California. I can help to organize California. Nobody believes California can win. I want to show the COP. C-A-T-O-P. It's not that hard. So anyway, I'll be traveling and I'm going to talk to different parliaments that the sovereignty of Hong Kong does not belong to China. The communists have violated the Joint Declaration and grossly breached the agreement. So as a result, under law, if you have not fulfilled your obligation, right, you also lose your rights. So the rights to Hong Kong should revert to Britain. And I must say here, the British were cowards. They did not stand up to the Communist Party. They gave Hong Kong people away. And we want it back. We want a referendum in 1997, all right? Based on the residents of 1997, those are the Hong Kongyan, Hong Konger, Hong Kongyan, we call ourselves. And those people should have the rights to determine their own future. So I'm going to convince, hopefully also later on next year, you win the midterm, the US Congress, that the sovereignty of Hong Kong belongs to the people of Hong Kong. And of course, we must get rid of the transnational criminal organization. I remember a few months ago, I was having, I think, a lunch with Miles Yu. I think it's a very good, it's a steakhouse, I remember, really, very Texas kind of steak, Longhorn. It's called Longhorn, right? And I still cannot remember who brought up the subject of having to do this kind of a speaking tour. So somehow, I still can't remember, but we came up with the idea. And I like San Francisco because of the Chinese food, the Hong Kong food. So I've been traveling back and forth to get a refill of Cantonese food. So there's a lot of friends from Hong Kong. And this is probably the highest concentration of Hong Kong Chinese in the United States. Right? And so I came here and I discussed with people. They say, oh, it's not easy, all right? We don't have that many people because Hong Kong people never have to unite, all right? They were always having big eating parties, all right? You put this and that. All they discuss, we are basically Cantonese culture. All they discuss, day and night, is what to eat. So it's very difficult for me to switch their attention to human rights. They say you're not going to make it. At the most, we have 200 people attending, right? And you charge too much. Nobody's going to pay that. So, but look at it. Look at it. This is not the last time. This is not the last time. We will win. We will beat the hell out of them. This California is heavily infiltrated, up and down, left and right. So it's a very serious situation. We need to do something. Even though I'm not even American, I'm not even a resident, I'm still on my visa, on my long-term, but I can see it. I've lived in the States total 20 years. This is like my home. I have 6 kids out of 6, 4 are American, have American passport. So it's like my second home. So anyway, maybe I speak a little too long. So I need to introduce Miles Yu. And I want to thank you for your support. This is overwhelming, absolutely overwhelming. And I want to call you my Chinese friend, who will make it more happen. Thank you.